Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today, and all the audiences from the Start Me Up Hong Kong Festival. Thank you again for joining our sessions here. Today we'll be covering on the panels on topic how Cyberport is driving startup ecosystems, navigating the changing venture capital landscape. So again, very welcome our three panelists here today to join us. We have Mr. Eric Chen from the Chief Public Mission Officer of Cyberport Hong Kong, Mr. Alvin Kwock from OneDegree, and also our Shih from Head of Sales and Marketing from AQUMON. So without further ado, I would like to have our panelists to maybe briefly to introduce yourself and the companies. So please start,
Sure.
Eric.
Yes, thanks, David. So I'm Eric. I'm the Chief Public Mission Officer of Cyberport. Basically, my teams take care of all the startup-related initiatives in Cyberport. And we basically help a lot of startups to grow from the embryonic stage all the way to the scaled-up unicorn journey.
Yeah, my name is Alvin Kwock. I'm the founder of OneDegree. OneDegree has a licensed insurance business and also a technology business. On the licensed insurance business, we really serve the pet and medical insurance and also the e-commerce vertical, such as cyber insurance and others as well. We also work with the different large insurance companies like Cigna and among the others in the back-end call system technology on licensing basis.
Okay. Hi, my name is Shih. I head up sales and marketing at AQUMON. We're a Hong Kong-based fintech with the mission to make investing and wealth building easier, more convenient, and more affordable for everyone, both in terms of individuals and also financial institutions. So for financial institutions, we help them think about how can they automate their overall wealth management process and also offer quantitative investment strategies. For individuals that utilize our app, they can very easily manage their wealth through our app, and it's all fully automated, algorithm-based.
So Eric, I think it's very, very great to have our two companies here, very successful companies on fintech sectors. And as we all know, that Cyberport is being a nurturing ground for the fintech companies, many of the fintech companies in Hong Kong, and we are probably the largest fintech communities in Hong Kong as well.
Yes.
So with that aspect, in your views, what has Cyberport been done so far, been doing to sort of like making these happen and all the developments in the fintech sectors?
Sure. Well, basically, for the benefits of some of the overseas guests that are not that familiar with Cyberport, basically Cyberport is the digital technology hub in Hong Kong, and with over 1,500 community members. And all in all, we have 6 focus areas, and fintech being one of them. Basically, we have a very holistic approach to bringing up the startups. Our core program is our incubation program that we give $500,000 funding to startup company, and within a 2 years incubation program. And then we have the pre-incubation program, starting all the way from university students. And then we even have a post-incubation support, like helping them to grow, expand beyond Hong Kong, to expand to overseas market, where we have the market development support schemes, and also help them to join the global accelerators in the world and help them to land in their target markets. So basically, it's a full range of services. And through this, fintech has been one of the fastest growing clusters in Cyberport. Now, as of today, we have close to around 400 fintech companies in Cyberport, and that basically represents 2/3 of the overall fintech companies in Hong Kong, because there's around 600, 700 fintech companies in Hong Kong. And for fintech, we've been working very closely with government, because we are actually set up as a private company, but wholly owned by government. So we are very close, to government, regulators, and all these supporting partners, organizations. This year, it's an exciting time for us because we have such a big fintech communities. The government has actually chartered Cyberport to roll out a fintech training program for the whole industry. Basically, there's around 200,000 finance practitioners in Hong Kong, and what the government wants is everybody to embrace fintech and to make sure that everybody understands what fintech is and potentially make use of the fintech solutions, from Cyberport and help develop the whole industry. Right?
Well, that's very great to hear. And I think very recently, Cyberport has announced the latest investment for Cyberport macro funds into 4 different startups in Hong Kong. And I think the Cyberport macro fund has total investment of $3.6 million in these 4 startups, and roughly bringing the co-investment value close to $29-30 million in total. And why, in your view, why we think that these 4 companies are so stand out, given the current pandemic and COVID-19 situation? What made them special, and then why we made that investment? Yeah. Okay.
Well, actually, within the fintech clusters, within the Cyberport communities, we have all the 4 virtual insurers licensees that recently been granted operating license are from Cyberport, right? And one of them is OneDegree, being one of the very first batch of virtual insurers, right? And also we have also the 2 virtual bank in Cyberport. So we know that COVID and also the macroeconomic situation is very challenging, but we believe that actually through this kind of thing we can see that there are also opportunities coming out from it, and through this pandemic we have seen opportunities for many of our startups, but we want to make sure that they actually have the chance to grasp these opportunities and not short of fundings. We set up our macro fund, a few years ago, mainly to basically endorse some of the very good startup like OneDegree and AQUMON, so that to make sure that we attract also other investors to provide fundings for the startup in the scale-up journey. Historically, we've been doing quite well because we are a co-investment fund. Every dollar, we hope to attract more fundings. And in the recent rounds, our $1 actually attract close to $7 to $8. And altogether, our investment have attracted over 30 million US, right? Which is the reasons why we have set up this fund, and the reason why we want to make sure that our quality startups get the necessary funding for the growth journey.
So talking about the fundraising, I mean, it's a fantastic news from these 2 companies here, OneDegree and AQUMON. You guys are being able to raise the money throughout this period. And obviously raising funding from venture capital and from Cyberport Macro Fund. Can you maybe sharing a little bit more about what does these fundings, new capitals injection to you, what does that mean to you and the companies ongoing throughout this period? Maybe we'll start with Alvin.
Sure. As Eric said, the pandemic situation also bringing a lot of new opportunities, right? So we do want to tap into that. So we are really grateful for all the help. Well, particularly I still remember the time of the closing was exactly at the lockdown. There were 2 days in that week that the market's down by 5%. It's a very turbulent time. So it's really, so we are really grateful that we have a lot of people who invest in our companies, including Cyberport Macro Fund and other investors who step up and really do a so-called insider round. They know us for quite some time. We have a relationship with Cyberport for more than 2 years, and I think they really have seen what we have been doing, and they want to support and help us grow faster.
And Ken?
I think we have a very similar experience. I remember, I think during closing period for us was just when the U.S. markets went through and hit the circuit breakers. All the investors were very, very at that point, I would say, very nervous. But I think in the end, everyone still saw the value, right? And so everyone still went ahead. And I think I wanted to touch a little bit on what Eric mentioned earlier. We've had a relationship with Cyberport for a little over a year, initially with the incubation program, and now obviously, quote unquote, graduating into the macro fund. And I think beyond the money, which is important, but I feel there's also a human element to it. Like Eric mentioned earlier about the whole idea is you might have great technology, but to be able to accept it and adopt it, there requires a thoughtfulness to try to connect with people. And I think that was one area that we felt that Cyberport really helped us really get to the next level, because throughout this entire COVID period, even though I'm sure it has negatively impacted a lot of people, but actually for a lot of firms, I'm sure like OneDegree or like us, actually chances are we've probably seen an all-time high in terms of our sales or in terms of our business for certain ends that we've seen that we can actually ride out this entire negative period.
So I think raising capital during the fundraising process, fundraising for startup is always challenging, right? And especially during this period, being able to raise capital in this pandemic period, I think is a very quite astonishing task to do. So maybe I'm pretty sure our audience out there, a lot of them are startup founders as well. I'm pretty sure they also want to get a little bit insight from you guys regarding how you're mitigating the risk and what kind of hurdle and challenge you guys been encountered, how you're dealing with that throughout all this pandemic period when you do the fundraising, and then obviously closing, like what you said, and closing time during that stock market crisis is going to be a very challenging decisions making from your investor. Is there any sharing you can make?
Maybe I can
Sure,
start by sharing a little bit of macro environment. According to CB Insights, the recent report, the overall private market funding that has been channeled into the startup, it's around 77 billion US, and basically when we compared it to the last quarter, it was actually a 16% dip, and when we compared it to the first quarter of 2019, it's actually a 12% dip. Wow. Right. So this is where we are in, and the challenge is definitely here.
Alvin?
Yeah, I think it is important to not only ride on the up cycle, but also to manage the down cycle, right? Manage the down cycle in the sense of, well, first, I think, you really need to think, once you get investor, you're in the same boat with the investor. So you also have to take care of them, right? You have to really manage the burn, and at the same time also think about the opportunities. How are you going to quickly grasp the opportunity despite all the disruption? I think that's something extremely important. And I think the other part about it is also, after the investors come in, it's not that done. Hey, bye bye. I got the money. It's not like that, right? It's that, I think that relationship is extremely important, and particularly what you see is in downtimes like this, it's usually the existing investors who have built a relationship, who know who you are, who know that you can ride through this cycle, who's going to step up and help you.
I think maybe a few points just to tag on. One, I think, is you need to understand the psychology of the investors. What are they looking for? Obviously, I think when times are tough, people are looking more for sure bets, winning horses. And for people that are listening who are still wondering, how can I be better? I think for me, some practical advice is just thinking about extending your overall investment time period, right? I mean, in the sense that things might have been a lot smoother earlier, you need to extend that time period in terms of when you think you can close. But having said that, I think it needs to be a very strong strategic alignment between you and the investor, right? Money is great, but to get yourself to the next level, you have to be aligned. And I think that's even though in times of periods when maybe actually attracting new capital is tough, I do feel that it's important to let all startups know that there needs to be an element where you do understand that the strategic alignment is very, very important between them and investors.
That's a very well said. I think we are almost heading to the end of the session here. And then for last but not least, any advice from you to our audience out there who's seeking for fundraising or for business development during this pandemic period, Eric?
Well, first of all, I would like to invite all overseas and local startups to come and join the Cyberport community. And through us, hopefully, we could actually help you to bridge to many strategic partners, because we have set up a lot of partner networks connecting you to investors, potential customers, and technology supporters and all these. And secondly, I would recommend you also, apart from getting support from Cyberport, there's actually a lot of very good government policy that has come out recently to help startup and many other SMB in fighting COVID-19. It's branded under the anti-epidemic fund. There's a lot of good schemes going on that help people, including startup, to maintain the good stuff as well as creating new jobs. And I encourage you, all of you, to actually make use of those support fundings to ride through the waves.
Alvin?
Yeah, my suggestion is to really stay very focused and deliver the value and really try to over-deliver as well. So what we have seen in recent times is that, so we really are looking to deliver 10 times better experience. I mean, one thing that we talked about was like 2 days claim period. We turned out to deliver 2 hours. This is the experience that we have in the last week or so. And I think this is something that you need to keep going. Whether it's good time and downtime, I think when it comes to getting investors and so on, it's all about that you really prove your value proposition. And I think that's really the name of the game.
Yeah, I think maybe without repeating what Alvin has said, I think the fundamentals super important. But maybe adding on a little bit is people need to know that you've achieved these fundamentals. And I think a lot of times when I see with a lot of startups is they might have done amazing things, but people don't know about it. So I think being more proactive, increasing awareness for your overall brand, these are things that actually from day one when we started, that we made a very conscious effort that we were gonna do something different. Whatever we did, everyone would know. So particularly when you have great fundamentals, then those two things add together and it becomes even better.
Oh, that's all well said, and I think it's a very great food of thought. I mean, at least from me, and I hope you guys all enjoy the session that we've been here hosting in Cyberport. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.